The San Antonio Spurs for the past 2 decades have been playoff contenders and Western Conference threats every season. The Spurs represent basketball excellence, evolving from the era of David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and recently Kawhi Leonard. The Spurs have seen nothing but success. Also to mention, having the best head coach of all time in Greg Popovich. But with the Western Conference stacking up and being the wild, wild west that it is, the Spurs making it to the playoffs may be up in the air. If there's one thing to count on with the Spurs, it's to never count them out. They find ways to be threats and a team you just never want to face. They were recently defeated in the first round to the young Denver Nuggets, and with that loss, questions of the Spurs' future has been brought into question. Honestly, I believe that the Spurs can make a run at anywhere from the 6th to 8th seed. I feel they will be a playoff lock. I just can't count this team out no matter what. They have veteran all-stars in DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, who they are leaning on to be big time for the team, and their main go-to guys. DeRozan and Aldridge are in their 30s, but they are still a good scoring tandem together. They both score around 21 apiece and take pressure off of each other. The only thing I question is, can DeRozan shoot the 3 ball? That has been his biggest Achilles heel ever since entering the league. Other vets like Patty Mills, DeMar Carroll, Rudy Gay, and Marco Bellinelli, they give the Spurs more firepower off the bench to help. But the guys people should be aware of on the Spurs that will potentially be the next generation of young Spurs is DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, and Derek White. The Spurs always manage to find diamonds in the rough, and a guy like Derek White, who was drafted 29th in the 2017 NBA draft, has emerged as a complete steal for the team. White's potential came out during the first round playoff series last season against the Nuggets. In 7 games, he went on to average 15.1 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds on 54% shooting from the field. And though he didn't shoot it well from 3 at 29%, he showed Spurs fans why exactly he was a steal with his ability to be a scorer. He's a 6'4" combo guard who excels on defense and scoring inside. If he can improve his percentage from 3 and overall his shooting ability, White is going to be noticed much more outside from Spurs fans. He works so well off the ball and on ball. He is able to create for himself, and he shows potential as a playmaker with how well he is able to create for himself. Lonnie Walker is another name that is among the Spurs' youth. Walker only played in 17 games last season as he was battling a meniscus tear. He jumped around from the Spurs and the G League. Walker may be a project player for the team. It may take a couple of seasons before we could see his true worth as an NBA player, but if Walker achieves his upside, he could become a reliable two-way scorer. And he could probably be a reliable 6-man and starter. You could put him in any role like that and he'll be able to succeed. Lonnie stands at 6'4", and one word to describe him is athletic. Lonnie is a pretty streaky, inconsistent player at times, and he does struggle being efficient. His biggest test will be in how efficient he can become during this season to help the Spurs. Providing his ability that he can score and defend, he's going to have to prove himself this year. He isn't going to be taking minutes away from Derek White just yet, but the Spurs have a young guy who, when he reaches his full potential, can unleash on the league. DeJounte Murray is set to return this season and be the starting point guard for the Spurs. Murray missed last season with a torn ligament, but this season he's all healthy and he is set to become the next man up for the Spurs. They are high on his ability to become a dominant lead guard, as well as a defensive force at the point guard position. At this point of his career, Murray's biggest strength comes from the defensive end. He was so good on that side of the floor that he won all second defensive team honors back in 2018, becoming the youngest player to win that award. He is still developing as a lead guard, but his potential is being a player who can be an all-around guard and play on both ends of the floor at an elite level. The Spurs' young big three will no doubt be fine in terms of development. It's the Spurs, for crying out loud. I don't have to explain too much, but there's one thing in common that these guys all have, and that they're pretty good on defense. And that's something that the Spurs are going to build on, and you are going to have a young core who wants to play defense. They have a good mixture of youth and vets to be a threat in the West. It still boggles my mind that some people believe that they won't make the playoffs. And yes, the West is deep, but this team is underrated, but they can compete. Barring any injuries, the Spurs right now is a sleeper team in the West. They can make a run in the West with their combination of young talent and veteran players, and having the best coach in the entire NBA.